of the diaphragm which is connected to the ribs. And thinnest sternal part which is connected to the sternum. Three main parts: lumbar, costal and sternal part. At the center is a broad tendinous center, connective tissue, with muscle consists from the connective tissue. Through the diaphragm passes the three main structure. Three main structures. More backly, between the leg of the lumbar part, peduncle of the lumbar part, lays the aorta. Main aorta. So frontally lays the esophageal opening, esophagus. And so frontally else, not so more, so lower, lays the inferior vena cava. Again, opening of the aorta, opening of the esophagus, and inferior vena cava. Three holes where passes the three main structure. Another lymphatic vessel, nerves, passes together with the three opening. Understand my mind? If the diaphragm, to make the positive pressure at abdominal cavity, sometimes the positive pressure can be so high if you pull the heavy weight, for example, and inspirate. The organ of abdominal cavity try to find exit from it, from the cavities, and can be make the hernias. Did you understand what I mean hernias? It's the eventration of the organ of abdominal cavity. And if you start to recall from your memory the wall of abdominal cavity, what is the wall? The upper wall is the upper wall of abdominal cavity. Is the floor of the thorax cavity, right? Mm-hmm. What is the name of it? What I described a few seconds ago. Diaphragm, right? The upper wall of abdominal cavity is the floor of the thorax, is the diaphragm, right? The back wall of abdominal cavity is a vertebral column and muscle of the back, right? Yeah. Front and side. Show.
Side.
Front and side, abdominal cavity.
Okay, said frontal side. Sorry.
Front and side.
Okay, frontal side.
Stomach.
Stomach.
Yeah.
Show me your stomach.
Front is the sternum.
Huh?
The sternum.
No, sternum is the thorax.
No.
Okay, abdomen.
No, what is that? Touch it.
Okay, front should be
Front and side. No, right, what is that?
peritoneum.
Wow, no. No, what is the shield? Shield. Muscle. Muscle.
Oh.
No one. Muscle. Front and side. Muscle. Back is the muscle of the back and vertebral column. Above is the diaphragm. Below is the pelvic diaphragm. Because the pelvic cavity is the ends of abdominal cavity. Enclosed by pelvic diaphragm, by muscle. And makes the next chapter of your notes, main chapter, is a weak place of abdominal cavity. What it means? You must know the spaces where can be grow the hernias, right? Where can be grow the hernias. And look at the diaphragm. Make the chapters swiftly. Pages and chapters. Weak place of abdominal cavity.
So what is it?
What is
Places of abdominal cavity.
The weak places.
Yeah.
Right. Look at the diaphragm. You ought to understand the one thing. If the pressure grow at the cavity, with pressure by rather forces spread it at the wall, all wall of the cavities. Understand my mind? It pressured on the each wall, upper, lower, front, back. Understand my mind? But sometimes the some place can be more weak and broke. and be make the hernias. Understand my man? Look at the diaphragm. To break the tendinous center is impossible, it's so thick. To break the muscle is impossible because the bell of the muscle is more strong. Do you did the muscular injection? Bing. No?
No, not it.
No, you see for you doing the muscular injection. And how you guess what can be happen if you contract the muscle before injection?
And penetrate.
Can't penetrate. Pardon. The muscle gets out.
It will happen.
The injection breaks.
Right, you break the needle, not injection.
Needle. Sorry.
Understand my man? Is more strong. If the steel is broken, the intestine or something else, some organ cannot to penetrate. But look at that. Between the lumbar part and the costal part, you see the triangle. It's called the lumbar-costal triangle. It's the one weak places. This is the regions where no muscular tissue and only thin plate of connective tissue. Did you see? Between the sternal part and the costal part, locate the sternocostal triangle. Is another one weak places. Understand it? And now you know two weak places, no, four weak places. Two lumbocostal, two sternocostal triangles is a weak place of abdominal cavity. And look at the holes. You know the three holes, right? Holes of inferior vena cava, holes of aorta, and holes of the esophagus. What is the weak places or not?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is.
No. Why? Because aorta and inferior vena cava is a pipe which filled by blood with the pressure. And you cannot come between the roof with the hole and this pipe. Understand my man? You cannot come between. But what about the esophagus? If you hungry, you can swallow the whole apple. And it passes to diaphragm, and the diaphragm must expand it for passing the biggest bolus. Understand my man? But can happen the next situation. The esophagus doesn't expand, but expanded the hole. And parts of the stomach can be easily make the hernias. Only one hole is the weak places. Opening of the diaphragm. Or opening, of the esophagus. Esophageal opening is the next weak place of abdominal cavity. Understandable? How it can be? The old lady before marriage want to see you more. How it can be see? Want to see most lady before marriage. I mean the shape of the lady. Huh?
Figure eight.
More thinner and thinner. More thinner and thinner. But losing of the adipose tissue is not so good, because the old person must have a concrete level of the adipose tissue, because it's isolated different holes and different spaces of the bodies. And if the lady lose so many adipose tissue, it's a risk of some diseases. For example, the hernias. Imagine that before marriage, the lady lose the isolator, which surrounds the holes. At marriage, because all happens, the lady can eat very well. But did you remember, if you overfill your stomach, what happened with you? Can do you breathe? You cannot inspirate normally because the diaphragm cannot to be pressed on the filled abdominal cavity, fully filled. Right? And what happened at this moment? If you try to inspirate, the pressure at abdominal cavity is so high, and the half of the, particle of the stomach move to the thorax cavity, because the pressure at the thorax cavity more lower than abdominal cavity. Is a esophageal hernias of esophageal opening. Understand my mind? What is the symptoms of it? This is some digestive trouble. Trouble with digestion sometimes is a symptoms of the esophageal hernias. Can be easily determined on the endoscopic investigation. Understand?
The name of the no, the name of the condition is a father what?
Esophageal opening.
No,
Like
admission.
Like hardness in the esophagus.
Hernia.
Hernia.
Rupture.
No, not a rupture. Hernias is not a rupture.
Not
Is a Latin term. Hernia is a Latin term. What it means? Is a movement of the some organ to another spaces. What it means? Organ, for example, stomach, must be located at the abdominal cavity. And if it passes to the thorax cavity, it's called hernias. Understand what I mean? No structure ruptured. What? The opening more widely and particle of the stomach located. No spaces is ruptured. Understand what I mean? It passes to the wrong spaces. The stomach is saved, the esophagus is saved, but between them locate the stomach. Is the hernias. Understand what I mean? Так, about the diaphragm. It's all about the wall of abdominal cavity, front and back. Which muscle can be seen here? The first one, more externally, lays the external oblique abdominal muscle. This muscle begin from the vertebrae, begin from the ribs, move downwards and frontwards. Downwards and frontwards. Understand what I mean? From the ribs, downwards and frontwards. Is a broad muscle, broad. And it has a feature. If you remember the simplest muscle, the ends of the simplest muscle is called tail, right? It's called tail. You can imagine it like a rope, But the broad muscle haven't tail. It has a broad structure which called aponeurosis. The broad muscle, finished by aponeurosis, is a plate of connective tissue. For example, do you see the white line? Is the aponeurosis. This is the end of the, for current position, is the end of the transverse abdominal muscle. Understand what I mean? And same one, external oblique abdominal muscle, begin from the ribs and come into the iliac crest, pubic symphysis, and connected to the center. Again, what is the place of attachment? The ribs and the pelvic bone. What is the function of that muscle? What is the function of that muscle? If one muscle is connected, what happens? Be think. We have a lose so many times. I want to explain more. Away, quickly. No, I make the point. Look, from the back to ribs, straight front to the iliac crest. What function?
Helps to bend.
Bend, but not only bending, but else what? No, look, if the bending, the muscle must be located at the one line. Did you see? Is a bending. But if it locates so backly, else is a turning. Turning, bending and turning. Understand what I mean?
Yes.
Is a function of the external oblique abdominal muscle. Так, nobody come to the sports. What? No. Nobody's come, doesn't train. Wow. Is a bending and turning. This is a function of the external oblique abdominal muscle. But if I fix my body, the function of this muscle, if I fix my body,
Helps to raise the
move
stability.
the limb, pulling up the limb. Understand my man? This is the external oblique abdominal muscle, covered externally. Look attentive. The bell, the muscular tissue of that muscle, finished so early. From this position, only connective tissue, aponeurosis. Understand my man? But what located the center? With the center located another muscle. What is the name of that muscle? Rectal abdominal muscle. Right? Is a difficult muscle has a many bell, which separate by connective tissue. Understand my man? It connected from the ribs and attached to the pubic symphysis and superior ramus of the pubic bone. Right? What is two cords? What is the function of that muscle?
I think it protects you.
The same one function.
To protect-
Bending. If muscle contracted. Understand my man? And if the body is fixed, is the moving of the legs. But if the fixed body and fixed limbs, what happens if the fixed body and limbs and this muscle is contract? Rectal abdominal muscle.
Expiration.
Right, it muscle to make the pressure into the abdominal cavity forcefully. Why it need? Sometimes if you wish forcefully expirate, contraction of it muscle to helps for expiration. This is a secondary muscle of expiration. Understand my mind? Like an external oblique abdominal muscle. The same one. Under the external oblique abdominal muscle presents second one muscle, internal oblique abdominal muscle. Internal oblique abdominal muscle. It has connection on the back surface of the iliac crest, and come upwards and frontwards. If external oblique come downwards and frontwards, internal oblique come upwards and frontwards. Otherwise direction. But mostly it has the same function, right? What function? Bending, but turning to another side, right? Because it connected from other position. It bending and turning to another side. Understand my mind? And make the pressure to the abdominal cavity. Is a muscle of expiration too. And last one, under all this muscle, locate the tiniest transverse abdominal. Imagine the broad belt, which begin from the vertebrae and cross the whole abdomen, except the front half. Except the front, no, not a half, but quarter. Where it continues to the aponeurosis. Understand my man? What is the function of that muscle? Only making the pressure, making the shield of the abdominal wall. No, it's so many philosophy, no need to look practically at this. I clear my skin and start to draw. Swiftly. What I ought to draw? I draw for you the front, the view, top view, if I cut front wall of abdomen and look at the top. Understand my mind? What I see? At the center, locate two muscles. Which muscle if I cut at the center? What muscle is located at the center? At front?
External oblique.
No.
Intercessor.
Rectal abdominal muscle. At side locate the free muscle. External, internal and transverse abdominal. External, internal and transverse abdominal. Free muscle. Understand my mind? I make the remarks. Is it outwards, is it inwards. Understand my mind? Two side. External oblique, internal oblique, transverse. At the center, rectal abdomen. The whole muscle covered by fascia, right? Covered by facial plate. External, internal and transverse abdominal. After that, beginning the aponeurosis, right? Beginning the broad connective tissue. How it begins? From the external oblique abdominal, traveled at front of the rectal abdominal. Did you see? From transverse abdominal, at back. But internal oblique abdominal muscle divided on the two halves. One half traveled at front, one half traveled at back. And what did you see? This is the structure of the front wall of abdominal cavity. What did you see? At the center of the abdomen, no muscle, right? How called this line? Linea alba. If I start to cut the linea alba above umbilical ring, what I ought to cut at first? I take the lancet and start to cut. What I cut at first? Is a mysterious space. What I cut at first? Skin, right? After that, adipose tissue under the skin. After that, fascia, 1 plus half fascia of the external oblique abdominal and half of the internal oblique abdominal. After that, boom, I come into the space between the rectal abdominal muscle. After that, I cut 1 plus half fascia of half of the internal oblique abdominal and full transverse abdominal. After that, boom, not all. After that, you ought to memorize all cavities covered by specific fascia. What it means? I ought to isolate the space for internal organs. If it's thorax, it's covered by thorax cavity specific fascia. If abdominal cavity, and I draw it by another color. At this place, it called transversal fascia. Fascia transversalis. And after cutting the 2 plus half fascia plate, I come into the abdominal cavity. It can find the stomach and something else. Understand my man? Well, understand it. Look at below. Below, another features. 2 rectal abdominal muscle lay so closer, right? Because it connected to the pubic symphysis. The same free muscle located below. The all fascia covered the free this muscle. But what happened? Again, this is the out, this is the in. External oblique abdominal, again outwards. Internal, outwards. Transverse, outwards. But what inside? Inside only transversal fascia. This situation. Why is it interesting? Because if start to grow the pressure at abdominal cavity, the sometimes can be formed the hernias of the anterior wall. Me interesting where at this place can be formed, can be grow the hernia. Try to guess. Show me where can be grow the hernias if I start to make the pressure of abdominal cavity. Where, which wall is broken at first?
No,
The one.
the outer wall. The outer wall is.
So, look, inside the pressure grows here and start to press. The pressure grow here and start to press.
The,
Show, come and show.
The last.
No.
The
Make me the way out, because sometimes before the hernias of the linea alba, the white line, sometimes can be formed the hernias of the white line. Because I repeat again, the broke the muscle is impossible to broke the muscle. Impossible. Can easy broke the center, because no muscle. But where it can be more easy, above or below the umbilical ring? Below. Then boom, boom. More easy above. Why? Because this region more broad,
Yeah.
the first one. But second one, what more easy to broke the 5 fascial plate together than separately? What is more easy?
Separately.
Separately. At first I broke 2 plus half pem. After that 1 plus half pem and be made. Then I ought to broke the 3 fast cell plate together. Isn't that possible? Understand my mind? And next week places which you ought to made at your node, this is the linea alba above umbilical ring. Is the next week places. If you look on adult person, sometimes at the center it can have the small slopes. Is a hernias of linea alba. All the time these hernias can grow only above umbilical ring, not below. Understand my man? And last one, what I want to describe for you. Sit down, gentlemen. This is the umbilical ring. What is that umbilical ring? Umbilical ring can be described before and after born. Before born, what is that? Is the places where from abdominal cavity of the fetus by umbilical cord to placenta traveled what? One artery, 2 vein, and urine duct. Is a before born, right? By this trances, by cord, the blood travel to the placenta for oxygenation and changing of the nutrients, right? And urine duct. Understand my man? Aha. But what happened after born? Is a weak place, no? Before born is a weak place or not? Not a weak place, because it's a vessel filled by blood and no spaces for ventilation, right? But what happened after born? After born, right? The cord is broken, vessel lose the blood, lose the diameter, contracted, and between these structures start to grow connective tissue, only start to grow. And what happens at this moment if the child so many times cries? Crying is a what? Contracting of which muscle? Crying. What is that crying?
Abdomen.
Right. It's an expiration, right? Forced expiration. If you remember, forced expiration performed by muscle of abdomen, and it makes a positive pressure at abdominal cavity. And if the child so many cry at first, is a risk of the umbilical hernias. The umbilical ring, like a small slopes. This is the umbilical hernias. Understand my man? The next week place at your chapters is a umbilical ring only after born. Only after born.
After born.
Born, not burn. Born. Understand my mind? Adult person haven't risk because connective tissue strongly enclosed with spaces and more easy broke above. And now you know the how many weak places of abdominal cavity.
4.
Try to count.
6.
No, different counting. If you tell the triangle like a 1, weak places, both triangle.
Sternocostal.
Sternocostal, lambocostal 1.
Esophageal.
Esophageal open another one.
Linea.
Linea alba above umbilical ring another one. And umbilical ring after bone is the next one. Understand my man? And next classes we begin from the next interesting structure is called inguinal canal. Is important structure, you ought to know it. Inguinal canal. We begin from it. Inguinal canal.
Okay.
Inguinal canal, not pinguinal. Sorry, inguinal.
But you just, I'm not inspired.
Так, lady, please come till at 8, okay? Come till, because I put the absent mark for you. Did you have a liquid paper? No?
Ali, you have liquid paper. In that situation.
Pet has. You don't have.
No, okay, next class.
Okay, Seth.
I used to just spoil my record.
What can I do? Come at till, you what to do.